There's a lot of tech that's been discovered since the time I haven't been playing Ghost of Tsushima, but with the downtime I had from work, I was able to showcase some of that tech in my recent survival runs on the PS5. And with this video, I'll be teaching you all the tech that I've showcased, along with other animation cancels and tricks within the game. I'll have timestamps laid out in the description of this video, so you can easily refer back to what I've taught once you finish watching. So enough talk because we have a lot of ground to cover. And as I go through each tech, I'll give the proper credit to the person or source that I originally saw it from. The first tech we'll cover is the long-awaited Moon Master cancel. Gooshy Gaming and KitaKaze Apollon have their own tutorials on this tech already, but I want to add my own spin to it, if you catch my drift. It's required that you have a Moon Stance katana with the last perk as Moon Master, otherwise you won't be able to do this tech. To perform this tech, you're going to press and hold down triangle to prep for the first strike, release triangle to perform the first spin, but you're canceling the spin by tapping circle. Shortly after you tap circle, you're going to tap triangle to do the next spin. Then you're going to rinse and repeat tapping circle and triangle, circle again to finish off the Moon Master cancel. But like I said, to add my own twist, we're actually going to finish off with a katana cancel. So the last button you'll input for this combo is square. For now, all the inputs that you see on screen, after you release triangle from the first strike, press all the other inputs in the rhythm of a horse gallop, similar to the katana cancel and the dash attack cancel. Just like the last video, I recommend practicing on the small table in Blood in the Snow, because it closely resembles what it feels like hitting an actual enemy. And here I'll do a demonstration. Once you get used to this combo, try attempting it on a common swordsman enemy downstairs, and if your ki level is at least overpowered on the set difficulty, then the combo should kill. The reason I'm adding the katana cancel at the end is so that you can follow up with the dash attack cancel to make it a more optimal combo. It takes a bit of sleight of hand because you need to switch from the fighting game grip to a normal grip, but it's rewarding in the end. What makes the Moon Master cancel tech useful is that it staggers all enemy brute types very quickly. As for my own testing at ki level 110, the brute onis take only 2 hits to get staggered, the purple brute onis take at least 6 hits, and the common brutes take 3 hits to get staggered. At ki level 109, even though you're considered over-leveled in Nightmare Survival, it takes 3 hits to stagger 1 brute oni. So I think it's safe to assume that it takes 1 additional hit to stagger each brute if you're under level 110 in your ki level. So the best case scenario is to run your ki level at 110. The best time to use this tech is when you whiff punish a brute's attack that has a lot of ending lag. The first 3 strikes also have a multi-hitting hitbox similar to the dash attack cancel, so you can hit more than 1 enemy at a time if they're close together. You can abuse the Moon Master cancel to constantly stagger all the brutes, and they'll never attack you. Also take note that the Moon Master cancel deals the most damage and is the fastest out of the katana cancel and the dash attack cancel, but you don't want to be too fast in performing this. If you press circle too soon, the hitboxes might not even come out, so be mindful of that. And just like the katana cancel, be mindful to not move the left stick in any direction. If you're inputting movement while doing this tech, you might perform a dodge on accident. That could put you in a bad spot where you could get hit by any enemy. You can actually perform this tech in duels and in the main story as well, but in the main story, if you have Heavenly Strike, this makes the tech a little bit tricky because the timing is slightly different. If you input triangle a little too soon, you'll end up doing a Heavenly Strike. So if you're thinking of playing through the story again just like me, and you want to use Moon Master cancel, don't get Heavenly Strike unlocked. Luckily, you don't need to unlock Heavenly Strike to advance in the main story. If you're playing as the assassin and use the Vanish ability, you're actually able to use the Moon Master cancel without losing your invisibility. This can be useful if you're running chain assassination, or if you simply want to rack up more damage before you go for an assassination. Just be sure to not input square, or else you'll instantly lose the duration of your invisibility. I want to give credit to Ryan Boyle, who I first saw do this tech. Also thanks to Benny Ong for bringing the Moon Master cancel tech to my attention on the Ghost of Tsushima Legends Facebook page. The next tech we'll talk about is the Way of the Flame cancel. For this tech, you'll need Way of the Flame as your third perk on your katana, and this can be done with any stance. To perform this tech, your character must be holding their katana in their hand, otherwise you won't be able to cancel the animation. Simply input R1 plus circle, and as soon as you see the flame ignite on your katana, just sprint forward by clicking L3 to cancel the twirling animation. This tech will be useful for when the bonus objective Ghost Weapon Kills comes up. It's also a really powerful combo when you pair it with Heavenly Strike, and also before you enter a duel against Io in Raid Chapter 3.
Let's see how strong we are without.
Doing the Way of the Flame cancel allows you to get in a couple more hits than the normal animation. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't have your sword out yet. There's two ways that you can instantly pull out your katana without swinging it. First way is by guarding by simply tapping L1. The second way is to instantly cancel a heavy attack by inputting triangle and circle right after it. If you're tapping L1, you want to make sure you wait for your character to finish the guard animation, because if you input Way of the Flame too soon, you'll just do the dodge pose. If you do the immediate heavy attack cancel, there's nothing to wait for, but it does require a bit of a sleight of hand. If you happen to be using Stone Striker, which has Heavenly Strike, I don't recommend using the immediate heavy attack cancel, because you'll end up doing Heavenly Strike unintentionally, so I recommend using the guard method. If your character is already holding the katana in their hand, then you don't have to do any of these methods to take out the sword instantly. If you mess up performing this tech, you can always go back to the lobby and go back in straight into another game. So that way, you don't have to wait for Way of the Flame to cool down. You can also do this tech in the main story as well. The only thing that's different is that you don't have to tap circle. If you ever run out of Way of the Flames in the main story, you can always return from your last checkpoint in the pause menu to reload it all back. I originally saw this text somewhere on the Ghost of Tsushima Legends Facebook page, but I couldn't find it again. So if you're on that page and you remember seeing the source of that video, please link it in the comments section below, and I'll pin your comment if you do find it. The next tech we'll talk about is the Perfect Parry Ultimate / Perfect Parry Ability Cancel, and this is somewhat a variation of the Perfect Parry Headshot tech. This tech will be mainly used by the hunter because all the other classes don't have a practical application for this tech. I do recommend having Perfect Parry window rolled onto your katana, charm, or your dirt throw unless you're a beast at timing the perfect parries on your own. To perform this tech, tap L1 at the correct time when you see an incoming enemy attack that you know you could parry. After half a second of that perfect parry, tap L1 plus R1 for the hunter's ultimate. Then you can tap R2 a little bit more sooner without waiting for the ultimate animation to play out. The same rule applies to when you're trying to do the hunter's special ability. After the perfect parry, press down on the D-pad for the staggering arrow or the explosive arrow, then aim at whichever enemy's head and tap R2 for that easy headshot. The timing of the ultimate after the perfect parry is really important because if you press it too fast, the ultimate won't even come out, and if you press it too slow, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to enemy attacks. The timing of the staggering or explosive arrow isn't too strict after the perfect parry, but you should match it with the ultimate and headshot tech just so you don't confuse your timing. Typically when you activate the hunter's ultimate, you'll either take damage or end up dying for it if you do it in a bad spot. But with this tech, you're creating a safer situation for yourself when using the hunter's ultimate. And you're also creating an easier situation for you to land a headshot with that staggering or explosive arrow. Now I did discover this tech shortly after I made the second animation cancels video. It's just I never bothered to make another video talking about it until now. But I do want to give credit to Hamam Fala on the Ghost of Tsushima Legends Facebook page for bringing it to the community's attention. The next tech we'll talk about is a variation of the reload cancel, and this can be performed with the longbow or the half bow equipped. To perform this tech, press and hold L2 to pull out the half bow or the longbow. Then press and hold R2 not too long and not too short, but just enough so that when you release R2, you fire your arrow quickly. And depending on which arrow is already equipped, tap square or triangle to cancel your reload animation. If you're firing a regular arrow, tap triangle to switch to your fire arrows. If you're firing the fire arrows, tap square to switch over to the regular arrows to cancel the reload animation. And as you're doing this tech, you're pressing and holding L2 the entire time without letting it go at all. If you have the Hunter's shield-piercing ammo technique equipped, that gives you another option with this variation of the reload cancel. And all you're doing is tapping circle to switch to these arrows. This isn't required, but I do recommend having reload speed as one of your perks on your bow. With this perk equipped, you'll notice that you'll be firing your arrows significantly faster compared to when you don't have it equipped. This variation can also be performed in the main story as well, but there's an additional variation when you're playing as Jin. Right after you fire your arrow, you can input right or up depending on which bow you're holding to switch over to the bow that you're not holding already in order for you to cancel the reload animation. So after you fire an arrow with the half bow, tap right to equip the longbow. Then when you fire an arrow with the longbow, tap up to switch to the half bow. If you ever run out of arrows in the main story, just like the Way of the Flame cancel, you can always return back from your last checkpoint in the pause menu to reload back all the arrows. I think a really good use for this variation is that if you're not used to the regular reload cancel where you let go of L2 after you fire, this tech can probably get you used to the timing of the regular reload cancel, since you're pressing and holding L2 the entire time. I think the only downside to this tech is that if you're not paying attention to your ammo count, you can run out of arrows quickly. So just be mindful of how many arrows you have left when performing this tech. I haven't seen anyone talk about this tech, so I guess I'll claim the credit for discovering this variation of the reload cancel. The next tech we'll talk about is Eo's Eye cancel. When you have enough key level to play through raids chapter 1 and 2, you'll get to a point where you eventually see these flying red orbs, which Gyozan calls Eo's Eye. If the orb passes through you, or you pass through it, these vines will come up from the ground holding your character in place, making you unable to move. And the only way for you to get free is if a teammate hits you, or an enemy hits you. If you or any of your teammates get stuck and you don't get freed on time, the person who is stuck will eventually get downed. But there is a trick to cancel the animation of you getting stuck by the vines. All you have to do is constantly mash any quick throw to prevent you from getting stuck. To perform this tech, press and hold R1, then constantly tap square or triangle as Eo's Eye is passing through you. The obvious benefit from this tech is that you won't need an enemy or a teammate to help you break free when you get caught by Eo's Eye. The only downside is that you have to sacrifice one ghost weapon in order for you to not get stuck. I don't know who originally discovered this tech, but I want to give a shout out to the entire Ghost of Tsushima community
for pointing out how to do it.
The next tech we'll talk about isn't really much of an animation cancel, but moreover as a tech for movement. If you constantly roll with no gaps in between, the enemies will never be able to spot you, even if you roll right in front of them. Just be sure to not touch an enemy, or else they'll be able to spot you.
A sure sign.
The only downside to this tech is that it's difficult to be consistent when double tapping circle, because you need to be frame perfect after each roll. If there's one tiny gap of a window in between each roll, the enemies will spot you. And since we're on the topic of rolling and movement, if you perform a roll after the initial animation of your sprint, it may not look like it, but this is actually the fastest form of traveling on foot in this game. One definite way you can tell that this is the fastest way of traveling is that in the beginning of Raid Chapter 3 on the long ascent to Eo's lair, if you do the stutter sprint roll the whole way through, Eo won't even finish her entire monologue. Also, you'll be ahead of everyone else if they're just sprinting the whole way through. To perform this tech, hold forward and click L3 to initiate your sprint, and then right after you initiate the sprint, double tap circle to roll. Then right after the roll animation, rinse and repeat the initial sprinting step and double tapping circle.
lair.
I was pregnant when the rulers of Tsushima buried us alive. I never saw my child's face. Tsushima must die. Nothing else can bring us peace.
The stutter sprint roll is definitely a good way to get from point A to point B in Nightmare Survival, but sometimes the Hwacha will still get you. So in terms of movement, I do recommend doing the first variation of the dash attack cancel that I taught in the second animation cancels video. Doing the dash attack cancel consistently in between zones actually avoids the Hwacha much better, especially if you're trying to speed past through tight spaces. And remember, the dash attack cancel is a little bit more faster than sprinting, but just not as fast as the stutter sprint roll. I want to give credits to KitaKaze Apollon for pointing out that you can't get spotted if you consistently roll. And also credits to Gooshy Gaming for teaching how to travel faster with the stutter step roll. One last trick that I'll show in this game for now is that if you change the date and time on your PS5 or PS4 settings into a past date or even a future date, you can change the current Nightmare week that would be playable. So that means Nightmare Survival and Nightmare Story will be changed with their respective modifiers according to whatever day you set it to. And unlike Animal Crossing New Horizons, you don't have to turn off the game in order for you to do this trick. You can keep the game running, and the game will actively read what time and day it is on your PS5 or PS4. Just note that you won't be able to get a high score in a past week's Nightmare Week since the leaderboard's already locked in. Even though the date and time settings are different from somebody else's, you are still able to match and pair with them in any challenge game mode. If you're trying to unlock certain skins for your classes that require weekly challenges to be completed, you no longer have to wait for the next week to happen. You can just change the time and date on your PS5 or your PS4. Also take note that if there's a check mark indicating that you've completed the Nightmare Challenge, there's no way of getting rid of that check mark. It will stay completed. I remember seeing someone talk about this on one of the threads in the Ghost of Tsushima Legends Facebook page, but I couldn't find it again. And with all of that said and done, that finally wraps up everything within this video. If you have any questions or anything that I might have left out on a certain tech, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. I've never enjoyed such a game before such as this. Doing all this tech makes this game much more fun to play. I even made a second account just to play through the game again. This video took me over at least 2 weeks to create because I was juggling back and forth between work and playing Ghosts. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video till the end. Thanks for watching, and God bless. Oh my god!